In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the main changes that we've introduced to Cite-Builder in May 2024. Now, I'm not going to go through new or changed rules or added styles because that's an ever-changing landscape, and no sooner would I finish recording, it would be out of date. I'm going to focus really on the main user interface and functionality changes that we've made. I'm using the premium version to demonstrate these changes. Most of the changes will also be applicable to the basic version, and I will indicate when that's not the case. So if we look at the top level screen here for a premium user, we can see that the bottom or the lower toolbar has started to scroll off the bottom of the screen, and obviously the more templates that we have, the worse this is going to get. Also, depending on what zoom setting you've got, like I've got 80% zoom here. If I bring it back up to 90, bring it up to 100, the toolbar has gone completely. Just going to take it back down to 80 here. And so we basically found that a lot of people were missing the fact that these options existed at the bottom. So now what we've done is we've introduced this floating sidebar on the left hand side. It always stays in position when you scroll, and it duplicates the buttons on the lower toolbar. So no matter how many templates you have, or how big a form is on the screen, even though this lower toolbar has scrolled to the bottom, this floating sidebar will always be in this position. You can see the icons are smaller. You can also see they don't have any text on them explaining what they do. For that reason, we've made two changes. One is we now have a different icon for managed personal templates, which is a premium feature, and managed favorites, which is a premium feature. So now we have different icons. They were the same icon before, but also you can hover over the sidebar buttons and it will tell you what they do. Obviously, as I'm on the top level, there's a limited set of buttons there, but as I move down through the hierarchy, I now have the buttons to move back up to the top level or back up one level, as well as manage templates and manage favorites and rule search. Now, rule search is now visible on a lot more menus because people told us that they weren't aware that they could use rule search, which again is a premium feature, from lots of different places within Cite-Builder. So if we now navigate down, we go down to an actual rule itself. You can see again all the toolbar buttons here. Go back to top, back one level and send a comment, and rule search. They're all available on the left hand side on the floating toolbar, as well as we've moved the save template button up into this form just to make it a little bit more obvious, but it's still on the sidebar there. Same would be true if you were looking at a template that you've created, a personal template. Again, we have the same buttons reflected across the two. Rule search, save as a template, and go back to top level. This is particularly handy if you're using list view. You can see here that it's going to scroll, these buttons are going to scroll right off the bottom every time. So it's very convenient having this option, these toolbar buttons here in the floating toolbar. So that's really quite a minor change overall, despite the amount of work it took to implement it. But the most major change that as a user you will notice is how we have changed the citation creation screen to really improve and streamline the workflow. So if I look here at this citation rule, Again, just note that these toolbar buttons have scrolled off the bottom because of the number of fields, but it doesn't matter because I've got the sidebar there. You may recall that in the previous version of Cite-Builder, if you had multiple styles available, in this case with Evidence Explained, Strathclyde, UTAS, you would have a black button for each one of the styles. All of the fields that are needed by all of the styles would be presented, and if you did a shift click on the appropriate button, on the appropriate style button, it would highlight with red borders the fields which are used by that style. If it sounds confusing, yeah, it probably was, which is why we've changed it. So now you pre-select the style you want to use, and it only presents the fields which are used by that style. It does still highlight the fields which are optional for that style, but any fields which are not used at all by that style are not presented. So for example, if I look at Strathclyde, there's no church name given, but there is a collection name. If I look at Evidence Explained, there is a church name, but there's no collection name. So removing some of the ambiguity of which fields are used, and the additional complication of having to do a shift click on a citation button, now it's much simpler. You choose the style you want, you see the fields that you need. If they don't have a dotted red border, you have to put them in. If it has a dotted red border, it is optional, as it says here. And then, having filled that information in, what you would do is click the single build citation button, or you might save as a template. And again, we've moved this button up from the lower toolbar just because it's more obvious there, and that's a premium feature. And save as a template is also available on the sidebar. So you'd click build citation, it would generate the citation for you in the chosen style. So let me just go through. I'm randomly going to put in some information here. So I've entered the information in, and at this point I'd click build citation. Now if I just scroll down here, you can see the citation's been built in Evidence Explained style, and I've got my footnote, subsequent footnote, and bibliography. So none of that has changed. However, if I now go and say, maybe I might use Strathclyde instead. I'm not sure why I'd swap and change between styles, but you never know, you might do. You might only have limited information and you're just looking for a valid citation style that you can use with just that information. So now I'm going to come in here. I need a collection name. I'm going to say English Parish Records, whatever. I'm making it up as I go along just for the demo. And now I click on build citation again. Whoops, I made a mistake there. Let me just get rid of that. And it generates the citation again in Strathclyde style. If I go to UTAS, it generates it in UTAS style. If I go back to Evidence Explained, it generates it in Evidence Explained style. So that's really streamlined the workflow a lot more. And if I go to templates, I'm going to see a similar interface with the with the different styles, tabs for the different styles in the template. So that's it. Those are the major changes. Just to recap, the toolbar, the floating toolbar or sidebar has been added to the left hand side. That echoes whatever is on the lower toolbar. It's just there for convenience, especially when you scrolled off of the screen. New icons for managed templates and managed favorites, just to make them different, to distinguish them. And the main thing is the new tab-based citation creation form, where you pre-select the style you want and are presented with only the fields which are going to be used by that citation style, but you can cycle through the styles and if you've already created a citation once, you can road test the different styles. So that's it. A lot of these changes came about based on feedback from users, and so as always, if you have an idea or you perceive something is not the way you think it should be, by all means get in touch. Either you can use the send a comment on this rule option, or you can use the contact form at the top of the page. And finally, don't forget, if you go to our home page, you can subscribe to our mailing list. Also, you can go to our Facebook page or sign up to our Cite-Builder users Facebook group. Those are very handy ways of communicating with us and other Cite-Builder users, and also finding out what's going on with Cite-Builder. Thank you.